Thank you for dropping by the channel today. Truly appreciate it. New viewers, regular viewers, both love it very much when guys drop by the channel. Thank you very much for doing that, especially today as we look at a recyclable sneaker, and a sneaker that has a low impact on the environment. A very big thing for me and a very big thing for the planet. The planet is definitely moving towards more recyclable materials, more reusable energies and things like that. And of course the sneaker industry needs to follow suit and make sure that it stays in tune with what's going on around the world. They need to do that for two reasons. One is because it's good to protect the world and make sure the environment is as safe as possible. And two, because it makes money sense if your customers are more interested in recycling, saving the planet, ecology, that kind of stuff, and you're not doing that, then your customers are going to leave you. So there's two reasons, I'm sure, why they're doing that. For me, though, I'm just very passionate about it. I think it's very important that we do that. Now, it starts for me with these. These right here are my totally beaten up Adidas Parley Ultra Boost Uncaged, and you can see, hopefully, that the Continental outsole is worn almost through to the boost. I've worn these shoes a lot. Right around here especially, you can see that sort of bump pattern that's here is totally gone from my overuse of wearing this shoe. And I'll just give you a close-up look at the ankle and the heel there where it says Parley, because what that is the Adidas line use the Parley sort of line and the company to recycle plastic bottles and get that recycled material into their shoes. Now today's shoe, the NIKE Hippie line, is more about, I think it's a step forward from these guys, but it's a step behind what's coming next. So yes, well done Nike, what you've done for the next stage, for bringing this all forward, for taking it to the next level of where we're going with recyclable and low impact shoes and sneakers, yes. But what Adidas are going to do after that is actually even more. So that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to have a look at the way the two different brands are going with their recyclable shoes and getting their shoes to have a low impact on the earth, and also take a look at the three different silhouettes and colorways that are coming down the line from the Nike line as we have a close-up look at their upcoming release of their Nike Hippie sneakers. This is the Talking About a 23 Sneaker channel. Talking About a 23 Sneaker channel des.毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. And every single day I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews. And today we've got these Nike Hippies that are coming around the line. It's Hippie, and it's a Space Hippies. And these are the sort of second batch. The first batch I think had a bit more orange going on, but what you're probably looking at behind me here is rolling through the three different silhouettes that are coming up, and they have a more of a volt or a green kind of vibe to them than the previous ones, but still in construction, in materials as well as silhouette and style, there's not much change. And there are three different silhouettes that we'll be looking at, and looking at how it is a step forward from these guys. Now these guys, it's more about the threads that hold the shoe together, that they're using actually retrieved plastic bottles from the ocean that have been recycled into thread, and then using that thread to make these shoes. So that's it was a very innovative thing to do with a shoe, and a big step forward as far as recycling is going. But these guys today, these Space Hippies, they're going even further, especially in terms of how much of the shoe is recycled and which parts of the shoe is recycled. And like I said, what Adidas have coming down the line after all this goes even further still. So that's what we'll be having a look at today. And like I said, I also want to have a look at the actual detailing on the shoe. So we'll get into that first. There are three silhouettes. There's the 01s, which hopefully is up behind me now, and then there's the 02, which hopefully now is up behind me, and of course there's the 03. And I want to just talk about some detailing on there. Detailing number one is that the 01s are the only one that have a lacing system on. The other two are slip-ons, a slip-on high and a slip-on low, but the 01s are the only one with a lacing system on. But it's really cool, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the LeBron 17 lows and how they tie their laces together there with that sort of, it's almost like two different laces. You've got the laces that loop up out of the upper, and then you've got the actual laces themselves that catch those loops, which I'm not explaining very well, but if you actually look at the picture behind me here, zoomed in I hope on the lacing system of the 01s, you can see that they have that double loop effect going on there, which is kind of cool. And then if we drop down from that and get to the lateral side, you'll see that that woven into the fly knit material, which we're going to get to in a minute because that's one of the major points in this shoe, is a swoosh that's actually in it. It's not a separate panel, it's not overlaid on the top of the fly knit, it's actually woven throughout the fly knit. So it's got a much more fragmented feel. You'll be able to see it on it behind me here, that is actually integrated into the fly knit rather than laying on top of it or surrounded by it. It's actually part of the fly knit, and it's that fly knit that's part one of the recycle thing that's very important about these shoes, and a step forward from what I was saying, like I said, with these parlays here. Now the parlays, it's all about the stitching and how they've used recycled plastic balls to create the stitching, then stitch the shoe together. What we're talking about here with these Space Hippies is the fly knit itself is 85 to 90% recycled materials. That's a huge number. You know what I mean? Like if we're talking about the thread that holds these guys together, it's probably like 5% of the upper. But you know, if you're looking at this, 85 to 90% of that upper is made from recycled materials that have been recycled into the fly knit material, which is incredible. It's an amazing step forward for, you know, sustainability and low impact shoes on the environment. And the big thing about it as well is it's not just recycled bottles, which the Parlay line is recycled bottles out of the oceans, but they're talking about many different things that they've recycled, and they're not just plastic, but also fabrics and things like t-shirts as well. So you've got a double effect. One is the massive number, the huge percentage of that upper that is recycled, and the other is the multiple materials that they've used to go in there and do that. I actually, now that I never thought of this when I thought about these shoes, but I visited the Coca-Cola factory here in Tokyo, Japan, and they actually recycle their glass bottles into the uniforms that the workers wear on site, which is unbelievable. It's something so hard and harsh as glass can be turned into something soft that doesn't irritate your skin, and a fabric. And it's incredible the technology that's out there, and that's what we're looking at here, is all these different materials that have been recycled into a fly knit, and that takes up the top part of the shoe. So what we'll do is we'll quickly jump over to the 02 so you can see that fly knit still on there, that not embedded but woven in swoosh on the side, but now the laces are gone. Very similar silhouettes when you look at the 01s and the 02 Space Hippies, but then when we jump across to the 3s, still you've got that recycled fly knit up there, but much larger shoe, goes all the way up the ankle, and a lot more different design features on there. And we'll stay on that shoe before we get to the second recycling part of the video, and that's the 03s, because they have two features that really stand out. One is a sort of cage that runs up the side and gives a bit more support, perhaps because it's a bigger shoe, and you can see that in yellow just coming out of the midsole and onto the upper there, and then attached to that cage is a strap that goes across the front of the shoe with the word pool right in the middle of it. So as far as design goes, the 03s have a lot more on them, and they're a bigger departure from the 01s and the 02s, which are almost very similar shoes, and just that lacing system being the difference between the two. But then if we go, we're going to go to the next part of that recycling, and we'll stay on the 3s to do that, because we can drop down and have a look at the midsole and the outsole on these guys, because this is a major feature on this shoe. What I'll do is I'll zoom in so that you can see really close up what's going on that midsole there, and what it's called is Nike Grind Rubber. And what Nike Grind Rubber is that they take leftovers effectively. So if you have like a rectangle of fabric and you cut out the shoe shape from that, all that stuff around the outside edge usually just gets discarded, but what Nike have been doing, have been taking those offcuts and turning it into rubber, and they're calling it Nike Grind Rubber. And hopefully what you're zoomed in on here is that rubber itself, and you can see within it different pellets and different materials that give it that speckled effect. And that's actually, I think it's a good thing that they've left it in that. It's honouring the recycled part of it, rather than sort of trying to hide it or conceal it and try and make it all one uniform material. So and again, it's a really big step forward that they're using that much material and that many materials to create this midsole section of the shoe, and it's still comfortable, and it still carries really nicely. So so basically, I mean, most of the shoe, what you're talking about, the upper and the midsole, that's the major portion of the shoe. Both of them heavily recycled from materials, either from, you know, retrieved from nature, or you know, things that are like t-shirts and things. You wouldn't retrieve a t-shirt from nature, but would be recycled through recycling bins and things like that. So in terms of, like I said, in terms of the Parlay line, this isn't the only Parlay out there. This is just the one I I've got and that I've worn to almost completion. This was a step forward, a great shoe, a great line, love the Parley line, and now here we are with these Space Hippies, again a step forward. But I have to admit that what's coming from the Adidas line is a step forward again, and I'm wondering why Adidas are doing this. And I'll tell you what that is in a minute. And Nike are still doing that, which is the Space Hippies, because what this is a Futurecraft 100% recyclable shoe. And what you're looking at is the shoe broken down into its different parts. And at one end, I'm going to say this end, but I usually get it wrong when I guess the end. But at one end, you'll see like a circle of like grainy materials. And what that is everything else that's up here has been sort of shredded down into that grainy material. And then they'll take that grainy material and make a whole new shoe, 100% recyclable. You buy the first shoe and then every year you just recycle it again and again. They just take the old materials, grind it all down and put it back into a new shoe for you. 0% impact on the planet. It's absolutely an incredible thing to do. So it's interesting to me that Nike are pushing this Space Hippie thing, which is more like an extension of the Parley line. It's not, it's like, it's almost, like in Adidas do this with their Ultra Boost and their NMDs, where they bring out like a 2.0 and a 3.0. So the Space Hippie line is almost like a Parley 2.0, whereas that Futurecraft from Adidas is a whole different thing. It's a whole different evolution of shoes. And I wonder if Nike are going to go the same way. It feels like they're playing a bit of catch up with Parley with this shoe. It kind of reminds me of what they did. I can't remember the name of the shoe, but the little pellets. I'll put a picture behind me here, but the little pellets inside, not air in the midsole of the shoe, but actual little circular pellets, which was actually something that Puma were doing, 2 or 3 years before Nike came along and did that. And it feels like a bit like Nike are playing a bit of catch up. They're taking this Parley and they've extended it and developed it beyond what Parley is, but that's going to come out. But then this next thing, even higher up in the sort of evolution line, is going to come out. So yes, well done Nike. Yes, please do keep bringing out shoes that are reliant on recyclable materials and are helping to reduce the impact we have on the planet. But come on now, let's get up there, catch up with Adidas and see if you can bring out something a bit like these guys here. Okay, that's enough from me today. Thank you very much for checking out the channel. As usual, I hope you found this informative or found something about this that made you understand where in the sort of evolution of sneakers these Nike Space Hippies sit, in my opinion. And maybe you have an opinion too and you want to tell me about it in the comments down below. But for now, it's time for me to go away and get this video done. It's Friday evening, just after 11 PM, and this video is due on Saturday at 7 PM, so I better go and get it made and ready for you guys to watch. So for now, time for me to sign off, and thank you guys for checking out the content. But you know what? I do this every single day, so that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.